Right. We're going to have a dive right through the book of Ruth this morning. So I'm obviously not going to read all 4 chapters to you. That would probably be a bit much. But I am going to read excerpts through the whole book to give us an overview of the whole story. So I'm just going to dive straight in. So we're starting in Ruth 1. In the days when judges ruled, there was a famine in the land. So a man from Bethlehem in Judah, together with his wife and 2 sons, went to live for a while in the country of Moab. The man's name was Elimelech, his wife's name was Naomi. Now Elimelech, Naomi's husband, died, and she was left with her 2 sons. They married Moabite women, one named Orpah and the other Ruth. After they had lived there about 10 years, both Mahlon and Chilion also died. And Naomi was left without her 2 sons and her husband. When Naomi heard in Moab that the Lord had come to the aid of his people by providing food for them, remember they left originally because of a famine, she and her daughters-in-law prepared to return home there. Then Naomi said to her 2 daughters-in-law, "Go back, each of you, to your mother's home. May the Lord show you kindness as you have shown kindness to your dead husband and to me. May the Lord grant that each of you will find rest in the home of another husband." Then she kissed them goodbye and wept aloud, and they wept aloud and said to her, "We will go back with you to your people." But Naomi said, "Return home, my daughters. Why would you come with me? Am I going to have more sons who will become your husbands? Return home, my daughters. I'm too old to have another husband. Even if I thought there was still hope for me, even if I had a husband tonight and then gave birth to sons, would you wait until they grew up? Would you remain unmarried for them? No, my daughters. It is more bitter for me than for the Lord's hand has turned against me." At this they wept aloud. Then Orpah kissed her mother-in-law goodbye, but Ruth clung to her. "Look," said Naomi, "your sister-in-law is going back to her people and her gods. Go back with her." But Ruth replied, "Don't urge me to leave you or to turn back from you. Where you go, I will go. Where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God, my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. May the Lord deal with me ever so severely if even death separates you and me." So Naomi returned from Moab, accompanied by Ruth the Moabite, her daughter-in-law, arriving in Bethlehem as the barley harvest was beginning. Now, Naomi had a relative on her husband's side, a man of standing in the clan of Elimelech, whose name was Boaz. Ruth the Moabite said to Naomi, "Let me go to the fields and pick up the leftover grain behind anyone in whose eyes I find favour." Naomi said to her, "Go ahead, my daughter." So she went out, entered a field, and began to glean behind the harvesters. As it turned out, she was working in a field belonging to Boaz, the man from the clan of Elimelech. Jump in a little bit. So Boaz said to Ruth, "My daughter, listen to me. Don't go and glean in another field. Don't go away from here. Stay here with the women who work for me. Watch the field where the men are harvesting and follow along after the women. I have told the men not to lay a hand on you. And whenever you are thirsty, get a drink from the water jars the men have filled." And Ruth stayed close to the women of Boaz to glean until the barley and wheat harvests were finished, and she lived with her mother-in-law. We're halfway there. One day, Ruth's mother-in-law Naomi said to her, "My daughter, I must find a home for you, where you will be provided for." Now Boaz, with whose women you have worked, see, Naomi, she's got a plan. He is a relative of ours. Tonight, he will be winnowing barley in the threshing floor. Wash, put on perfume, get dressed in your best clothes, then go down to the threshing floor. But don't let them know you're there until you've finished eating and drinking. When he lies down, note the place where he was lying, then go over at his feet and lie down. He will tell you what to do. "I'll do whatever you say," Ruth answered. So she went down to the threshing floor and did everything her mother-in-law told her to do. When Boaz had finished eating and drinking with in good spirits, he went over to lay down at the far end of the grain pile. Ruth approached quietly, uncovered his feet, and lay down. In the middle of the night, something startled the man. He turned, and there was a woman lying at his feet. Who are you? He asked. So it was dark. He couldn't see who it was. He did have to ask. We have light all around him, don't we? We can always, if we woke and were startled, we might have an idea who it was. It was really, really dark. Who are you? He asked. I'm your servant, Ruth, she said. Spread the corner of your garment over me, since you are a guardian redeemer of our family. It's quite forward. The Lord bless you, my daughter, he replied. This kindness is greater than that which you showed earlier. You have not run after younger men, whether rich or poor. Now, my daughter, don't be afraid. I will do for you all you ask. All the people of my town know that you are a woman of noble character. Although it's true, I am a guardian redeemer of our family, there is another who is more closely related than I. Stay here for the night. In the morning, if he wants to do his duty as your guardian redeemer, good, let him redeem you. But if he is not willing, as surely as the Lord lives, I will do it. Lie here until morning. So Boaz goes to the town gate, sits down there, just as the guardian redeemer he had mentioned came along. Boaz said, "Come over here, my friend, sit down." This guy does not know what he's in for. So over he goes and sits down. Then he says to the guardian redeemer, Naomi, who has come back from Moab, is selling a piece of land. This is a euphemism. She's selling a piece of, it's true, but it comes with strings attached, that belongs to Amalek, of Elimelech. I thought I would bring the matter to your attention and suggest that you buy it in the presence of these seated here and the presence of the elders of my people. But on the day you buy the land from Naomi, you will also acquire Ruth the Moabite, the dead man's widow, in order to maintain the name of the dead with his property. At this, the guardian redeemer said, I cannot redeem it, because I might endanger my own estate. You redeem it yourself. I cannot do it. So Boaz took Ruth, and she became his wife. When he made love to her, the Lord enabled her to conceive, and she gave birth to a son. The woman said to Naomi, Praise be to the Lord. This day he has not left you without a guardian redeemer. May he become famous. May he become famous throughout Israel. He will renew your life, sustain you in your old age. Your daughter-in-law who loves you is better than 7 sons. Then Naomi took the child in her arms and she's given birth. Sorry. Then Naomi took the child in her arms and carried him. And the woman living there said, Naomi has a son. They named him Obed. He was the father of Jesse, the father of David. Right. A lot. That's a lot. We're going to circle back and have a look at this. Well done for sticking with me. I'm going to presume here that you all, like I, have social media in your life. Yeah? And we open up our phones, and quite often we might see a hashtag, feeling blessed. Something of that kind, yeah? Maybe somebody's got a new car, a new job, a new house. And yes, it's good, isn't it? It is a blessing from God. It is God's provision. Got no problem with that. We don't have any difficulty spotting that kind of provision from the Lord. But what about when God doesn't provide in those ways? When you need a new car, but you haven't got the finance for it, when you need to sell a house. Many of us are in that position. You want to sell a house, maybe it doesn't sell. You need a new job. You need a job at all. And God doesn't seem to be providing, not in the way that you want him to. In this story, God does some providing, but that provision doesn't always look the way. It's not always simple. It's not always instant and immediate. It doesn't always look the way that we want it to. So we are going to talk about provision this morning, but before we do that, I just want to be really clear, right? When we're talking about provision and how God provides, we are not preaching a prosperity gospel. Just good to get out of the way what we're not saying before we say what we are saying sometimes. 1 Peter 4, verse 12 to 13, I'm not going to read it, but he basically says, don't be surprised when you experience like fiery trials. God is actually doing something. You experience this trial so that you might be overjoyed, she says. What does that even mean? James 1 and 2 says, consider it pure joy when we suffer, because that produces perseverance in that. God is really, really concerned about our character. He's concerned about the journey we're on. He loves us. He wants good things for us. But sometimes, in his providence, we experience trials. We experience persecution. We experience suffering. And things don't look the way that we want them to. God doesn't do the thing that we want him to straight away. And that does not mean that he is not providing for you. Yeah? God's provision is within that, and that's what we're going to look at this morning. My goodness, poor Ruth. Poor Ruth. Poor Naomi. They are in trouble at the beginning of the story, aren't they? We're going to look at 3 areas this morning. We're going to look about, because we are made up of different things. We are mind, we are body, and we are soul. So we're going to look through Naomi and Ruth. This story takes us through the elements of how God meets us in those needs. Now layer up. Right. So we start at the beginning of the story. Naomi has lost everything. They've moved to escape one kind of suffering, a famine in the land, and then she loses her husband, she loses her son, she loses her second son. And she is consumed with bitterness, disappointment, grief. When she comes back, she says to her friends, don't call me Naomi anymore, call me Mara. It means bitterness. God has inflicted me with all this bitterness. She's really broken. She's really, really broken. And she feels like she's come back empty-handed. But she hasn't, has she? She hasn't come back empty-handed. Just a little aside here, I think poor Naomi gets a bit of a bad rap. I think in this moment we see her kind of broken and really happy to express, which is a funny thing, that sorrow, that grief, that bitterness, but we can think of her as lacking faith, or not really trusting God in this moment of her distress. But Naomi must have been an incredible woman. I wonder if any of you got mother-in-laws. I am a mother-in-law. Yeah. For Ruth to decide, given the opportunity, still young, to have the option to go back to her own family, her own people. She's been given a get out of jail free card, but she chooses to stay with Naomi. That says something about Naomi's character, doesn't it? It tells us something about who she is, about what kind of woman she was. And actually, as we see as we go forward, she's got buckets of faith. And she hasn't returned entirely empty-handed, has she? Because she's come back with Ruth. She's not come back alone. In this moment of emotional distress, of grief, of sorrow, of desperation, God's given her exactly what she needs. He's given her Ruth. And Naomi is no different to any of us. We all experience sorrows and challenges and heartaches. And we need other people to get us through these hard times. We do. Now, maybe I'm alone in this. I suspect not. But actually, it's really, really hard to accept help from other people. It's really, really hard to accept support from other people. It's much easier. It feels much easier, isn't it really, is it? To be independent. In fact, in our culture, we celebrate independence. This is what we're aiming for, isn't it? To be independent. We don't need anyone. We can do it on our own. This is not a kingdom value. God takes the lonely and puts them in families. They look like this, by the way. This is one, isn't it? This is a family that you've got the opportunity to belong to. And in that family, you do not have to suffer alone. You really don't. Now, I am the worst of this. When people offer, I realised some years ago, when people offer me help, I say, no, it's fine. It's okay. Whatever it is that somebody might be offering me, because the truth is, it probably is fine. I can actually do it, whatever it is that somebody's offering to help. And because I could, I sort of felt like I should, because that's our culture. We feel like we should. Right. I made a decision, God really spoke to me one day. I made a decision. When somebody offers to help me with something, you just say, yes, please. And thank you. And that sounds easy. That is really hard. But what a really good exercise in allowing people to be your family, to bless you, to help you, to walk alongside you in the simple things. Can I do the washing up for you? Yes. Thank you. Could have done it, but I'm letting you do it. In the small things, it's a trivial example, isn't it? And the big things. Like God gives us people. God gave Naomi someone. She did not have to do it alone. Are you making eyes? You're meaningful things. Are you listening? Are you listening? Let's wash up again. Don't let pride and independence rob you of the provision that God has given you in one another. Don't let it. Yes. Don't let it. All right. Number 2. In chapter 2, Ruth goes out to glean. Right? Why is she doing that? Because they are very poor. They have physical needs. They are desperate. They've got nothing to eat. They've got nothing. They've got no man in the family to work and provide for them. They've got no ability. They've got land. We know that, don't we? Find out later in the story. Now they're selling fields. They've got land, but they've got no ability to work that land for themselves. They've got no money to pay somebody to work that land for them. They are trapped in a poverty trap. They have got physical needs. And Boaz, in chapter 3, provides some opportunity and protection, doesn't he? He says, okay, glean in my field, do it safely. But they're still poor. It doesn't solve their needs at that moment. They aren't magically rich overnight because she can glean the field without getting raped. But she's still having to glean. She's still having to try and find a way to feed their family. Sometimes God does not meet our physical needs straight away. We might be poor, we might stay poor, we might be sick, God might not heal us. We might need that job. Things we talked about earlier. Man, we might have exams we want to pass. We might be reaching out to God in desperation because there's some scary stuff coming up and we've got to do some work and we want God to help us. I can't guarantee, I'm sure you're all very hardworking, going to do very well, but you might not. It is actually possible that you might not do as well as you hoped, that something, you might not pass all your exams. I'm sure you. Actually, I know some of you that will. I know you will that will. Maybe you won't. I did not pass every one of my exams. And in that moment, we might feel like a failure and feel really, really desperate. And really be quite angry with God that He didn't provide us with the grades we wanted, or we didn't get accepted into the university we wanted, or whatever that thing might be. Life does not always go the way we want. We can have physical needs, and God might or might not fix that problem for us. You just might not. This wonderful event New Day that we've been talking about, which is a wonderful event, once a week, there's lots of opportunities for people, once a week they have an evening dedicated to sharing the gospel and praying for healing people. Hundreds of people were healed at New Day. but my kids didn't. How do you handle that? Does that mean God doesn't love them? Does that mean the person who got healed of their ingrown toenail, which by the way is a very painful condition, it is, and I am so glad if God heals someone's ingrown toenail, yeah? But he heals your friend's ingrown toenail and doesn't heal you of your lifelong disability. How do you handle that? How do we handle that? Does that mean that God doesn't love you and doesn't care for you? Where's God's provision in that? In Daniel 3, we read a story, you might have been familiar with it. There's a fiery furnace, an actual one, involved. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego go before the king. Don't you quick read that. The king says, you've been bowing down and praying to God, you should be worshipping me. You are going in that furnace. And Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego stand before the king and they say, our God is able to save us from that furnace. But even if he does not, and that's our reality, isn't it? God is able to meet you whatever your need is. But even if he does not, now he did it with the furnace. But actually, even if he does not, they didn't know he was going to. They didn't know. Even if he does not, where does that leave us standing? Is God enough, even when he doesn't meet the needs that we think we have? Has anyone seen The Chosen? No. It's very good. It's very good. In The Chosen, we get an opportunity to see this thing that is part of the Jewish Passover tradition. It's called the Dayano, right? And in the Dayano, the Jewish tradition, at the Passover meal, they say some stuff. They go through, it's actually like 15 things where they say things like, I'm going to make sure. So, starting with the extras. If you had rescued us from Egypt, but not executed justice on the Egyptians, it would have been enough. Yeah. Then it moves on. If you had taken us through the sea, i.e., executed justice on the Egyptians, because they did not get through that sea, but not provided for us in the wilderness, it would have been enough. If you had provided for us in the wilderness, but not taken us to Sinai, given us the law, it would have been enough. And it goes on and on with these things. I mentioned this now, but we're going to circle back to this thought later because it's a really important concept for us. God's done some stuff for you, but what if he doesn't do the next thing? Is it enough? Is it enough? The story of Ruth ends in chapters 3 and 4 by her marriage to Boaz, doesn't it? This is very important. God now they've had some emotional needs going on. Not all fixed, it's still sad. They've had some physical needs. Actually, they've been helped, but not. They're still struggling. But what about their spiritual needs? Ruth, a Moabite, not a Jew, she gets grafted in. She marries Boaz, and there she is in the genealogy of Christ. You open your Bibles to the Gospels, we get a wonderful genealogy, don't we? Loads of men, 5 women. And one of them was Ruth. Actually, she's not the only Gentile now, we've got Rahab as well. God had a purpose in this book that we can read of Ruth that isn't just about their daily walk, it's about this big picture story of Jesus and what he's done for us. Yeah, the book of Ruth isn't a book about sometimes things are hard, sometimes God provides, maybe not in the way I want, but in the end he's probably sort of got it. No, that's not what this book is about. This book is about Jesus is coming. Jesus is coming, the one who has made a way for you and for me to know God, the one who has made the ultimate provision for us. That's who it's all about. It's so, so important that we understand the big picture view of what God is doing in our lives, because we get so caught up in the struggles of every day. We do, because we are actually living the struggles of every day. But we must not miss the point that God has a big purpose for you and for me. He has grafted us in. And he does work all things together for us. He knows what he's doing. And that journey might look really, really messy. Naomi, at the end of that story, gets to hold this wonderful grandchild. What a blessing. But maybe you don't get to hold a wonderful grandchild, metaphorically or actually, at the end of your stories. But you do get to be grafted in, you have the opportunity to be part of this big family, to belong to him. Ultimately, that is his big mission to us. And if we get that front and centre, the other stuff doesn't stop being painful, but it comes into context. It comes into context. It helps us to actually access the provision that God has made for us, the one another. And we get to help each other. Yeah, we get to help each other practically. We get to pray for one another, but we get to remind one another of this. That's the biggest privilege of all. We get to remind one another of this in our stories, that God is good, that God knows what he's doing, that sometimes he opens doors, sometimes he closes them. Naomi's life did not look like she thought it was going to, and having that grandchild at the end did not stop her loss of her own children and her husband, of the life that they had built. We've got no reason to think they weren't doing very well. They must have been doing pretty well because she had the resource to be able to even travel back home. They were doing all right, and suddenly she loses everything in poverty. The joy of the Lord is the strength in Nehemiah. And it's so true. And it doesn't mean you'll feel happy all the time, because they certainly didn't. There is sorrow and grief and suffering, but Jesus is over that all. And I want us to have an opportunity to really hold that and feel that this morning, to personalise it. That Bayanu that I mentioned earlier, God did this. Well, we can say all that stuff, can't we? Great that God rescued the Israelites. Great that he provided for them in the desert. So on and so forth. But it feels a bit removed and distant, doesn't it? In The Chosen, they do something very helpful. It's a story, it's fiction based on the Bible, right? But they've got some license. And they create an opportunity for the women in Jesus' life to have a meal with Jesus, to have their own Passover meal with Jesus before the Last Supper. And in that, these women write their own Dayanu that they speak to Jesus. And it's actually incredibly powerful. And I didn't think about showing it to you, but I don't want us to miss an opportunity to personalise this for ourselves. So instead of showing it to you, I'm going to speak some of it to you. These women's stories that we get to partner with ourselves in the end. And I want us to think about what our ending to this little mini Diana might be. Yeah. So, in fact, we're going to do it a bit properly. I'm going to speak the words, and then collectively the group says it would have been enough at the end of each verse. Yeah. Oh, I think we're going to do that. Okay, so I'm going to play 5 parts, and then we're going to think about this for ourselves at the end. Right. So, Mary, the mother of Jesus. Maybe just close your eyes and really try and engage with this. I know it's a bit weird. Right. Mary said this: if I had only been given the joy of holding you in my arms that night in Bethlehem, and had never seen any of your signs and wonders together, it would have been enough. Mary Magdalene said this: if you had performed your signs and wonders and had not called me by name and healed me together, it would have been enough. Martha, if you had called Mary and healed her, but had not raised my brother from the dead together, it would have been enough. Mary, Martha's sister, if you had raised my brother from the dead, but not defended my honour when I worshipped fate, it would have been enough. Joanna, if you had defended Mary's honour when she worshipped you, but had not given me into my life by letting me support and participate in this miraculous family that I do believe will change the world, it would have been enough. And now for us. If you had called me and given me into my life, and let me be part of this miraculous family that we believe can change the world, but not. What's your but not? What's your disappointment, or your sorrow, or your grief, or your hope? Is it enough? King Jesus, I thank you that you have called us to be part of your family, that you have given us the opportunity to belong to you. And in faith, today, I would say, and I think we want to say, even if you don't do the things we might hope that you will do, you are enough. It is enough. You are enough. You are enough, Jesus. And we want to just lay it down at your feet and acknowledge that it's in your hands. We can't control everything. And you're right there with us in our hopes and dreams. You're right there present, weeping over our sorrows, holding us. You're not distant and disinterested. Jesus, whatever you do or don't do, you are enough for us.